Well, today's worst day is more of a, worst week, worst month, worst year. Not exactly sure where to put the caveat on this because things are falling apart all around Deion Sanders in Colorado. And if you want to get caught up, you don't have to read any articles. You don't have any logins or any subscriptions. Just go on Twitter and search Deion Sanders and go to his Twitter profile and find him going at former players.
This may be one of the most
unhinged.
Well, yeah,
it's unhinged. There's no way around this. It's let the kid who didn't play for you, who didn't do anything for you, act a fool on his own and let him make an ass of himself.
Well, even for Deion, it's uncharacteristic. Yeah, I mean, this is for Deion Sanders, who is outspoken. He is a vibrant personality in sports and always has been, right? Remember all he said last season, and especially after the Oregon thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where when Dan Lanning says, they're fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins and all that stuff. Remember what Deion said after that? We don't talk about anybody but ourselves. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, we don't throw shade at anybody else. We just take care of ourselves. That is not what is happening right now. No. And it's not even like punching back at what is going on, because he's not fighting back in saying, what Xavier Smith, who was quoted in that Athletic article about his time at Colorado and how it all fell apart. He's not denying any of that. He's not fighting back and defending himself in his actions. What he's doing is kind of verifying what everybody thought after that article came out. Mm-hmm. After Cromani McClain comes out and says, like, hey,
I want to play for a place with substance.
Somewhere that is going to develop me and help me grow, right? And we're starting to hear more and more as players are saying things like, there's one kid that they put their social media handles on the back of their practice jerseys. Mm-hmm. And he said that he showed up to practice one day and Deion had put the transfer portal for 24/7 Sports on the back of his jersey.
Which, look,
that's just such an a-hole move.
I want to qualify this.
I don't even know that a-hole move begins to describe it.
It's funny if it's not from his coach.
Right. Like, well, I mean, if it's a teammate or something like that, pulling a prank on him.
Screwing with you? Yeah. It, unquestionably, when I first heard it, I was like, that's pretty good. I'm not going to lie.
That's really
that's pretty sick burn. But your head coach doing that is so out of pocket.
So we had yesterday, when we talked about this yesterday, Shedeur Sanders was going at, Xavier Smith saying, I don't even know who this guy is. Must have been mid.
Yeah.
Okay. There was just a random Twitter user that said, hey, tell your son to stop acting like he's the coldest out here and then put up a 4-8 season. Okay. Like, damn. Mm-hmm. So I understand where this kind of morning of Deion tweeting started, because that one, I wholeheartedly, I understand that he replies and he's firm with it, but he says he'll be a top 5 pick. Where's your son going? I got time today. LOL.
I'm willing to bet money Shedeur Sanders is not a top 5 pick.
It's funny you say that, because I went through 5 different far too early 2025 mock drafts.
Was he in the top 20?
Yes. Yeah, actually, he was in one of them, number 9 to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, God, fire me into the sun.
But he is not in any of them. He was not a top 5. But that's not to say that he can't be. He took a lot of sacks, and look, he has a dynamic arm. He can throw the ball really well, and he throws a very good ball. Mm-hmm. He takes a lot of sacks, holds onto the ball for far too much, tries to do too much with it. And look, their offensive line was atrocious last year, and Deion has made no bones about that. But for all of the folks that are saying that all he's in for at Colorado, and there are more and more voices of former players that are coming out and saying this, is that all Deion really cares about is Shedeur and Shiloh, and getting them looks and getting them opportunities. Deion's day continued on social media when he put out a tweet about Xavier Smith, okay? Because Xavier Smith was the guy who was in the Athletic article, one of his teammates, okay, came to his defense on Twitter, right? Because now that young man is at Austin P. And so Jaheim Ward was defending Xavier Smith because they're teammates together. Deion quote tweeted his stat line from last year and said, "Lord Jesus," because the kid had 8 tackles, no forced fumbles, no interceptions, and 4 passes defended. So he's not even just going at the guys that were in the transfer portal from his former team. He's going after an
somebody else's kids,
an FCS player at Austin P, who was just defending his teammate Xavier Smith.
What's funny is Ward, the other player here, then quote tweeted Deion with a or was it what did Deion say? Lord Jesus, with a Lord Jesus that said, "I got more pass deflections than your son."
Because he did.
Because he did.
Because he did.
His Deion's other son Shiloh is in the secondary.
A defensive back. But what has kind of come out of all of this is you don't see head coaches taking shots at.
Is that Deion's an ass?
Yeah,
well,
that part of it.
Well, you don't see head coaches taking shots at former players. We have not seen coaches take shots at current players like Deion Sanders has either. Because think about all the things he said about their roster before last year, and then when things started getting sideways and squirrely, calling out his offensive line and just saying they're not good enough, all those things. This is kind of unprecedented territory that he's in. And I've long said I want to see Deion succeed because I think it's really interesting the way that he is trying to go about it, right? All through the transfer portal, he's ignoring high school recruiting, and the high school recruits that he is getting are now leaving in droves. 2 of his crown jewels from a year ago already gone. The high school kids. And it's going to be a revolving door. You've got to be able to win football games. That is going to be paramount. You can't. And now people are just coming at him like, dude, you went 4-8. We're really going to be talking about this. And by the way, 1-8 in conference play, including blowing a 29-0 lead at halftime to Stanford. Okay. But as all of these knocks start happening, it also knocks Deion down a peg, right? When he's getting into this from guys that are in the portal. Because he's getting knocked down a peg when he's been elevated as this coach that's going to help you thrive and help you succeed. And all these kids are coming out being like, dude, my experience at Colorado was miserable. And are the players good? Most of them, no. They're not that are leaving. But when you have this many guys start piling it up.
61% of his 2023 recruiting class is gone.
It takes a
That's
hit.
Nuts.
It takes a hit, and every other coach in the country uses it against you. I think one of the biggest things that Colorado's up against, though, is the fact that they've painted themselves a bullseye on their back for every single team that plays them.
Every single team.
And they're not good enough to withstand that bullseye. Like, they're not going to catch anybody sleeping on them.
No.
They're entering the Big 12, which is not going to be as good as the Pac-12 was this past year. But you're going to get every single team's best shot week in and week out.
Because they're going to want to show you what playing for clicks looks like.
Exactly.
That's the way you go against that modality, as it were. It's going to be really interesting to see how that all shakes out, because I'm with you on like wanting Deion to succeed and being a little bit different, but what the hell, man? He's tweeted 9 times today, and it's all been just gibberish.
Do you think we would be like exactly where we are right now had they not beat TCU to start the season? Like, do you think it would be as loud and insufferable as it is?
Yeah. Yes.
Because there's nothing tampering down Deion.
But that you're talking that 3-0 start where it was like people are like, oh, it's working. Well, it turns out that TCU was a flash in the pan. Went to the college football playoff. They were terrible last year.
All of their top guys went to the NFL.
And then they beat, I think, an FCS team in Colorado State, and then just got the doors blown off them by Oregon.
Yeah, and they beat Nebraska too.
That
was game 2.
Yeah, it was Nebraska. It was Matt Rule, and then Colorado State. And I think those 2 wins to start the year, though, they were what got the hype train just rolling out of control.
Sure.
And Colorado State damn near beat them. I mean, that game was
running
crazy.
the same route every single play.
Over and over and over again.
Here come the unders.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
This text. That Louis bot was at a swap meet.
Yeah. He's like, where you put the diamond detector on, and it's like, it's fake. Womp 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 womp. I have a little palate cleanser.
Yeah, hold on really quick. This
Oh.
text says, I'd like to know what Rick Pitino thinks of Deion calling out other players. Remember, Rick Pitino, that made national headlines where he's like, dude, our guys are unathletic. They're not. To a man, though, how many of those guys at whether it's St. John's or anybody that's played for Rick Pitino,
ain't nobody leaving Rick.
they say
They ride or die for him.
he is doing the best to maximize us.
That was a motivational tactic more than going after his guys.
I will also say, though, that was unhinged.
Yeah.
And everybody at the time was like, dude, Rick Pitino, pump your brakes, dude. You're the guy that brought all these guys in. Right?
Well,
they said the exact same things that we're saying about Deion, but Deion is now fighting back at former players who are like, dude, you didn't treat me right when I was there.
Yeah, you're not going to find anybody saying that about Rick.
Yeah.
I know guys that have gone on recruiting visits to places Rick has been at who will ride and die for him.
Well, I mean, we know why
Yes,
after
just,
we found out what was
I'm
going
saying,
on at old
like
Louisvle.
I said,
huh?
they're taking care. Rick takes care of guys, okay? It's the complete opposite of Deion. Ain't nobody got anything nasty to say about Rick Pitino, at least for former players.
That's right.
That's how it goes.
The only people I think bad things to say are maybe his wife after the Italian restaurant incident in the NCAA.
Yeah, true. Neither one of them played for Rick. Just saying.